What moment made you realize that you are not a kid anymore? When some doctors or teachers are younger than me. The last time I was at the I slowly realized that all the medical personnel treating me were younger than me. I told my niece she needed adult supervision to do something and she looked me like I was dumber than a block of cheese and asked why I couldn't watch her. When my actions started to change a lot people's life. If I don't do shopping today I cannot cook for my wife and she would not have any food to take in the other day and in the next day I will be working so no one will buy food. As an example. It's one thing if I only eat once a day. But the kids need 3 square meals and snacks. So mama does not get a depression day. Realized this when a Facebook friend of mine asked what depression meals people eat and I realized even if I don't eat, I have to have the energy to fix food for 3 kids. I was really excited to buy a mop. From that moment on it all went downhill laughing face. I'm almost 40 now, bought a new vacuum late last year. I'm still semi-excited about using it every time I do. It just works so much better than my old one. At work one day when I was 19, I heard a little girl ask her mom, "What's that man doing?" and I turned to look at what man she was talking about and what the man was doing. Only to discover she was pointing at me. My first year of teaching. When we told the kids to get an adult if there's an emergency and I realized I was the adult they would be getting. I feel you there. Sometimes it just hits me that I'm the adult in the room and I'm responsible for everything. It's such a weird feeling. Having the "we have food at home" talk with myself. Absolutely. I realized it when my thought process went from, what do I feel like having for dinner, to, what do I have to eat before it spoils and I wind up wasting the money I spent on it. I used to be able to take days off work whenever I wanted and now I find myself having to have the, if you take that many days off you won't be able to pay your mortgage so suck it up and go to work. Speech with myself at least once a week. Lol edit, for clarification. I work as a nurse and we have our set schedules in between 3 to 6 weeks of vacation a year depending on where you work, your position, and seniority, etc. But I used to have multiple part-time jobs instead of a full-time. I took off many days for travel etc. But now I am 21 and have a mortgage to think about so I'm working full-time and can't take nearly as much vacation time off as I used to and it sucks. In high school a friend of mine worked at a laser tag place. He got a bunch of us in for free one day. In the waiting room we had a friendly trash-talking match with some 12-year-olds about the upcoming game. One of them came back with, "You're on. Kids versus adults." Note, we were all 18 at the time. I work as a retail worker, 18 tomorrow. And a lot of kids at my town recognize me as the man from the store. It really feels weird not knowing all of them, considering I knew everyone in town when I was their age. When I saw a forecast for snow and I was annoyed instead of happy. This is a great one. Kids see potential snow day and imagine all the fun a snowy day brings. Adults see shoveling it out of the driveway just so you can sit through a shitty drive to work. When I realized I could never be fully relaxed because there's always some responsibility looming over me. If you already know this then disregard. I just want to type this out in case someone suffers from this mindset. I did. This mindset has to be countered by purposely scheduled you time. There will always be shit to do. Always. Someone always needs that help or that work thing done or your presence at this event or this thing in the house fixed. Etc. etc. You purposely schedule to do something you want. Then you do it. Need 4 hours to binge video games? Put it on the calendar. Need 7 hours to drive to the trail and hike? Put that shit in the calendar. Need 2 hours away from the kids in a bubble bath? Coordinate with another adult. Drop the kids and chill the fuck out in some bubbly goodness. You schedule everything else in your life. Yet time for yourself seems to always slip by. Stop that. Schedule it. The work will be there tomorrow like it always is and always will be. It can wait. I was driving my sister around and I pointed out to her a building that used to be a Blockbuster where my dad would take us to when I was a kid. Then I was crying inside at the fact that I said, when I was a kid. When they said, some people will meet the person they are going to marry here, at my university welcome speech. That shit fucked me up real good. I remember when they said this at my freshman orientation and every guy looked around to see how many girls there were in the ballroom. Only around 19% of the entering freshmen were girls. My orientation group consisted of around 16 people and they were all guys. When I lost my job, this was pre-corona, I realized that I'd treated my career like it was school. As if I would keep moving up automatically. It was a juvenile way to approach success. And I realized that if I wanted more from my life and career, I couldn't just expect it to happen. Realizing that nobody knows what the hell they are doing. Everyone is just winging it. Asked a mate, one of the most well put together guys I know, if he had any adulting tips. Just came back with, if you ever find out, please tell me, single quote. When I found out I had to choose between dropping out of college and homeless, or going back to live with my abusive family, it really hit me hard that I didn't know what to do. But knew I had to do something. At the time, those weren't the only realistic options. But I was a kid and didn't know that. It took a lot of learning and making mistakes over and over for me to really understand that adulthood meant making it up as I went. I did end up dropping out of college initially to work full-time and get an apartment. And now, 8 years later, I am in a way better place than the scared kid I was before. The morning after my parents' divorce when I was 10. My father was an ultra-helicopter tiger parent. My mother was a neglectful abuser. We ended up with my mother. My siblings and I stood in front of the garage door for an hour before realizing our mother wasn't going to take us to school, daycare. I ended up carrying my siblings to their respective locations before making it to my own school by lunchtime. I picked up bus sign-up slips that afternoon and was forced to forge my mother's signature for the first time to try and get transportation. Later that week I also was forced to forge free lunch slips for us all because no one was going to make us food anymore. Just turned 19 and my mother passed earlier this January. No father figure to rely on. The transition from, I'm going to school with friends, to, I'm working all the time just to not be homeless, is a sharp one. The freedom is liberating and incredibly scary at the same time. When my mother died, I was 17 and the overwhelming sense of, you're on your own. No one is going to protect you or do things for you anymore, felt like the sharpest transition to adulthood imaginable. I was 23, no high school diploma, and a security guard doing access control at an ice cream plant. I realized that if I didn't get out of there and do something, I would be 50 in a flash. And not seen or done anything worthwhile. My life would have peaked at 20 and the rest of my time amounting to little more than waiting to die. When I was 19, I made a reference to one of my favorite shows from when I was 8 to 12. And a couple of 13-year-olds listening had no idea what I was talking about. I'm learning that those moments never stop happening. I heard a couple teens reference SpongeBob and I had to ask, wait. That's still on the air? To which they informed me it was celebrating its 20th anniversary. I remember watching the premiere episode. This past Monday actually. My neighbor has 3 dogs she constantly lets outside without leashes. We share a driveway that connects our 2 small backyards. I have an older dog. I went to take my girl out before work and she let her dogs out without looking. Her pit bull attacked my dog and for 20 minutes we couldn't get it off her. At the end of it, my dog was seriously mauled. I was bit on the hand and arm pretty badly and suddenly. I had to be THR adult. I had to know what to do. I had to delegate Misa to take my dog to the vet. While I stayed behind to talk to the cops and get myself to the hospital. 26 years old and let me just say, I hate being the adult. I don't think I've ever missed my dad's immediate ability to handle a situation as much as I did on Monday. When I flunked out of undergrad, and I got a job in a factory building electrical machinery, I'd see my reflection of myself in overalls with my toolbox. And it hit me hard that all the fun and games from HS were over. And I was not Joe Cool anymore. My mom used to pray for me before bedtime every night when I was a kid. I remember looking out of my open bedroom door, listening to her finish praying for my siblings, waiting for her to come to my room. She didn't come to my room that night. Or any other night. I've been growing up since then. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.